Because the wildest thing to me, right, with all of this, and I'll probably do another show on this, but all this pro-Russia talk is like they're kind of like the epitome of socialism / communism. Mm-hmm. But why there's so many poor people there, and why there are oligarchs there, if it really was truly about the people? And it's like, maybe y'all need to look at this a little bit deeper. But
well, because the same way that we think we have capitalism, they think they had. So none of these things are actually, like you just said, there's ideas.
yeah,
Ideas. Who has actually implemented any of these ideas, right?
To the fullest of the extent.
To the fullest of the extent, yeah.
Yep.
So that's the other question, right? But the overall topic in terms of, like, you know, business owner and woke is interesting, because when you operate a business, right, and it depends upon who you listen to. Some people believe that operating a business is for the only purpose is to generate value for shareholders, whether that's a small business and you're the only shareholder, whether you have a large corporation and there's many shareholders, right? Milton Friedman was the economist who said that the only purpose of a corporation is to provide value to shareholders. So
when you see the greed and the concentration of power with it, did you ever have a moment of doubt about capitalism and whether greed's a good idea to run on?
Well, first of all, tell me, is there some society you know that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Of course, none of us are greedy. It's only the other fellow who's greedy. The world runs on individuals pursuing their separate interests.
If that's true, not saying I agree with that, how do you operate in that space in terms of maximizing profit by still being for the people? And that's the conversation that me and you were having offline. You said that it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible. So here's the thing. I would have to go dig this up, right? But Ben and Jerry's multi-billion-dollar business was brought by a major conglomerate, but their whole thing was for socialism. Well, not socialism, but they had a social mandate.
At one moment, all of corporate America was trying to respond to this moment of anti-Black racism. But there was one company that really their statement just stood out among the pack, and that was Ben and Jerry's. It wasn't just nice platitudes, it was actually legislation that they were calling for. But it's interesting, if you go on Ben and Jerry's Instagram page or Twitter account, they're constantly talking about these issues, and it's not just when they're prompted, it's part of their actual mission.
What's going on is genocide.
And that mission has been the cornerstone of the brand for over 30 years.
They wanted to take care of folks. You can do that within a capitalist construct, right? Not so much within a socialist / communist construct. And so if I think people really got down to it and understood what certain things are, it would be, I think we could get more traction. But I also think we live in the past a lot. And so, you know, Chairman Fred, years ago was pro-socialism.
We have breakfast for children because we teach the people through practice, through observation and participation, that people can be fed free. That's the people's thing. Socialism is the people. You're afraid of yourself. If you're afraid of socialism, you're afraid of yourself.
So he was so prolific in what he did and what he talked about in his movement with the Panthers that's just kind of etched in everybody's brain. But then you go to Malcolm, right? He was talking about capitalism, if you really think about it.
If you can't do for yourself what the white man is doing for himself, don't say you're equal with the white man. Right. If you can't set up a factory like he sets up a factory, don't talk that old equality talk. Right. Get off the welfare. Right. Get out of that compensation line. Right. Be a man. Right. Earn what you need for your own family.
Right? The whole do business, do for self, that's a capitalist construct. Now, if you don't understand capitalism, it might sound foreign to you.
Yeah,
and then
so
you go back to the originator of all this, the OG, right? Marcus Messiah, Garvey, was talking about capitalism. He was talking about doing it to take care of your folks.
Yeah. I mean, he also said race first, and people tend to forget that part. But so you made a lot of excellent points there. The thing is, again, this gets back to those isms, right? And
all isms. Spark mannerisms.
But it's also difficult to compare anything that we're trying to do with Ben and Jerry's for a lot of reasons, right? Whether that's politically or just culturally. But I get the idea that you can operate at that scale and still have, I guess, a heart, so to speak. But the thing is it just about creating value or revenue and then just giving back? What about the things that you do during the way, right? You see a lot of, I hate using this analogy, but I hear a lot of this in, say, hip hop, right? Where rappers talk about they sold X amount, you know what I mean? But now they're giving back. I can't help the poor from one of those, right? To quote the brother. Yeah. So, but the thing is, if you're causing harm along the way, how do you kind of like, you know, reconcile that, right? Is it just about creating value to have value and just to give back to the community? What about what you do during that journey? That's the question I have for you.
Well, I mean, I think it's a rough thing, right? Many people who are brought up under Western Americanized type things feel like they only have one way to get out.
Yeah.
And that was orchestrated intentionally, right? Like you and I talking about it, like this whole concept of the streets or keeping it real or being a real nigga is been all constructed by white folks. And so a lot of times we are brought into this Americanized narrative of what wealth and being rich is, and we haven't really questioned it. And there's not enough people of us questioning it. So then you get these aberrant abominations who done that. But, you know, if you're talking about that period, right? We both watched Snowfall. Mm-hmm. A lot of people fell for the crack trip. If you go back into the 60s and 70s, a lot of people fell for the heroin trip, right? They thought it was a get rich quick scheme. That lottery ticket we always talk about is lottery ticket mentality. And so people are like, all right, I'm gonna get this because I'm just surviving here. I'm in the jungle right now, and the projects has got like 20,000 people in it. It's hand to mouth. A lot of people are desperate. The utilities might be off. I gotta figure out a way to put money on the table. And we have some way, somehow kind of normalized what I would call criminal activity. But I also get that because, again, that was the only option.